It's about the ability to be able to manipulate the physical space that you are in, to be able to perform functions that you would never expect a machine to be able to perform.
Nakul, JJ, welcome. Nakul, to you, there's a lot of talk about physical AI at MWC. Just explain to us what exactly it is and why Qualcomm is so excited about it.
So, AI has accelerated massively over the last 5 years. If you think about how broadly deployed large language models are today, whether it's search, coding, video, it's really become pervasive. Underneath all of the tech is the exploration of where does AI go in our day-to-day lives. And physical AI is actually about automation in things that we today perform as humans, whether it's a manufacturing role, whether it's a job that somebody performed in a warehouse, things that we know are going to become a challenge in the coming years because populations are aging. You have a completely different change in demographic in terms of access to information. So we are spending a lot of time trying to figure out physical AI, meaning you can embody AI into a physical machine. The best example I can think of that we can all relate to is self-driving cars. Right? Self-driving cars 10 years ago were very far-fetched, and today people don't blink when you think about a Waymo. That's going to happen with robots. And the physical aspect of it is not so much about the motion, it's about dexterity. It's about the ability to be able to manipulate the physical space that you are in, to be able to perform functions that you would never expect a machine to be able to perform. That requires you to be able to get to the next level of tech because we don't train models on physical motion. Super exciting. For us, it's exciting because it's an edge problem statement. This doesn't require the cloud. You have to perform it at the edge. Has to be safe, has to be real time, has to be latency sensitive, has to be accurate.
JJ, I've heard physical AI be called the most overhyped tech that's also completely real. So where do you stand?
Look, we do have a de-averaged view on it. The tech is real. So there's at-scale deployments. Amazon has 1 million robots in their 300 fulfillment centers. They're getting real value. They're seeing a 10% reduction in workflow timings. They actually increased their skilled labor by 30% with the robots because they're essentially getting robots and skilled labor alongside working together. So that's all real. Humanoids, I think there's 4 bridges that still are being built. One, Nakul touched on it. It's the human level precision. There's the unit economics, which is not there yet, but getting there. Third, you have safety certification required and a regulatory framework that is still incomplete. So those bridges need to be built to get to humanoids at scale. But you do have firms like Qualcomm innovating on cost, safety that will help us get there.
Finally, to you both, what should leaders be doing to prepare for physical AI? And importantly as well, what should they not be doing right now?
They should not start with the technology ambition. They have to start with the business problem they're trying to solve. So if you look at companies like that are actually succeeding here, BMW, Amazon, Foxconn, they said, like, let me take an operation problem. They didn't just say, let me put robots on top of it. They reinvented a workflow that exists right now with humans. They reinvented it with a AI-first mindset. So take a business problem, apply a AI-first mindset to it, reimagine the workflow, and that is the driver for success.
The application has a brownfield aspect to it and a greenfield aspect to it. Like I've heard a lot of our partners tell us, if I am a humanoid, I don't actually have to behave like a human to perform a task. Humans perform tasks a certain way because of the way that a human body is set up. A humanoid could be much more efficient. But if it's brownfield, where you have an existing environment within which you have to operate, where you may have to coexist with a human, where you are dealing with something that already exists, then you have to be training for a set of skills. Like I'll give you an example. If you think about, if you are building a brand new factory from the ground up, where you haven't even broken ground yet, you will define the factory to be very different in terms of where you would want the robot to operate. So you have to think about the capability of the technology and then the application of the technology in the context of a problem and how real the problem is in terms of what you have to go solve. So I'm fascinated by it because I think all of the above are true, right? This is one of those things where there isn't really any one answer or the other. You really have to go cast a pretty wide net.
Cool, JJ. Thank you so much for your time. An absolute
Thank
pleasure.
you.